did not come this far to overcome this much and fight this hard, only to surrender our country back to the depraved Washington swamp.
It's going to be a lot of chaos coming, so heads up, stay vigilant, and do not fear and do not give up. President Trump is fighting for us.
Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president.
The fact that we are fighting not regular warfare, but irregular warfare. For decades, the British Empire and globalist banks have waged war on us using non-state actors.
Oh, can you feel it, folks? Do you sense the imminent restructuring of our entire corrupt government? It's all coming. You see how our liberal friends can't make it anymore with their arguments. We will catch even The View revealing this truth. The extraction process, we're going to show you that when they got Maduro out. The reposting from Trump with important deltas and so much more from the Q board. Oh, man. So good. Folks, Rumble, we're at 500,000 followers. Thank you for hitting that follow button and the like button. We really appreciate that. It helps us move up on the leaderboard. We're usually now number 1, 2, or 3 up there, and that's thanks to all of you. Also, as a thank you, we're having a cruise March 15th through 22nd. Just a little bit of time left to get on board with us. We're going to have Q&A sessions. We're going to have different podcasters there. I'm going to see if I can remember some of them. The Justice Cometh, Observing Consciousness, Julie Donuts, Real AF Patriot, DC Lidstone. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? We'll get through live Q&A this week, folks. If you join us Thursday, we're going to have a live Q&A session with Dr. Shockley. That means you can go into the chat, ask questions from her about your journey to wellness. That's this Thursday. Go in the description box below, click on the link, and save your spot, and save that as we're going to go live there.
Colleagues, Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president. He was not a head of state. For years, Maduro and his cronies have manipulated Venezuela's electoral system to maintain their illegitimate grip on power. In fact, just 2 years ago in 2024, a UN panel of experts report found that the election in that year was absolutely and completely a farce and fell well short of the most basic transparency and integrity measures essential to upholding credible elections. If the UN and the United Nations in this body confers legitimacy on an illegitimate narco-terrorist and the same treatment in this charter of a democratically elected president or head of state, what kind of organization is this?
What kind of organization are you, United Nations? It's Michael Waltz calling him out, U.S. ambassador to the UN. I think that's brilliant as we're going through all of this revealing process of the stolen elections, USAID, the corruption with Somalia, so much more to show you. And speaking of the UN, just want to make sure you guys caught this. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, on the UN.
You're wrong in your question. Number one, Venezuela is a major source. And the reason why is the following. And I've seen a lot of this reporting, and it's fake reporting, and I'll tell you why. It says that somehow Venezuela is not involved in the drug trade because the UN says they're not involved in I don't care what the UN says. The UN doesn't know what they're talking about. Maduro is indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York. That means the Southern District of New York presented the evidence to a grand jury, and a grand jury indicted him. And then a superseding indictment came out that was unsealed about 1.5 years ago that specifically detailed Maduro's actions. So number one, let there be no doubt, Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker in the United States, and he's a fugitive of American justice. No, you're wrong. And
The UN, corrupt disaster, putting third world dictators on human rights councils and promotes the replacement of white people. You catching on? So now we're going to be hopefully going after the United Nations to find out just how corrupt they really are. While all that's going on, politicians are out there saying, oh, this is an act of war. We're occupying the country of Venezuela.
With regard to the war powers and the compliance with federal law, we are not at war. We do not have U.S. armed forces in Venezuela, and we are not occupying that country. The Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war, that is true. But it also vests the President of the United States with vast authorities as Commander-in-Chief. Under Article 2 of the Constitution, the President has the authority, as all presidents do, to deploy military forces to address threats to the U.S. and to enforce U.S. law. That is what happened here. The War Powers Act states that notification should be made to Congress within 48 hours following the initiation of hostilities. As we've noted, and I've made many public comments, that happened almost instantaneously here. My first call was at 4 a.m. by Secretary of State Rubio. Despite the claims by some of my colleagues, under the War Powers Act, there is no requirement for prior congressional approval or prior notification. And in fact, in this case, the intelligence was so sensitive, the conditions had to be perfect, there was no predetermination of when exactly it would occur. And if there had been prior notice, even assembling the Gang of Eight, for example, during the December holiday, it would have set off alerts and very likely might have been a leaked situation which could have caused great damage to our forces, our troops there. Any claims to the contrary about the War Powers Act either misunderstand the statute and longstanding precedent, or they're just being disingenuous. Congress retains full oversight authority, and the administration is acting consistent with the law, and that's what we discussed in the room tonight.
Just some words of clarity for everyone. Mike Johnson going out there, perfect talking points to let the folks know. Doesn't matter what you guys say. Doesn't matter how hard you fight. Venezuelan folks are excited. They're ready to now, start heading home. It's kind of strange, though. Just a couple of more, things that we covered yesterday on the strange, 4 outfits that were changed by Maduro during that whole thing. And here he is being perp walked. Listen to what he says.
Good night. Good night. Happy New Year.
Oh, this is a good night. Happy New Year, says. Very interesting. Huh. Well, there might be some corruption. We talked about that yesterday. Some of the senators taking some money. Some of these politicians, rolling in the dough from Maduro. Check this out.
Rand Paul has been implicated as one of the politicians who has been taking millions of dollars from the Maduro regime, according to a high-ranking government source. The Kentucky senator was named as a central figure on a reported Venezuela list of U.S. politicians allegedly receiving multi-million-dollar payments from Maduro's regime and narco-trafficking networks, according to that high-ranking Venezuelan government defector. The source alleges that Paul has accepted bribes in exchange for political actions meant to undermine President Trump's military and diplomatic campaign against the Maduro government, including his recent efforts to block funding while claiming that Trump is committing quote-unquote war crimes in the Caribbean. The Venezuelan source says Paul received 7-figure payments funneled through intermediaries tied to the Cartel de los Soles, which is the Venezuelan military-led drug trafficking organization indicted by the DOJ in 2020. These payments allegedly started years ago and intensified as Trump's second administration launched aggressive operations this year, including deadly strikes on drug smuggling vessels. Paul has publicly opposed the operations, particularly in his December 3rd sponsorship of a war powers resolution. He has repeatedly accused Secretary Pete Hegseth of authorizing potential war crimes. The source described Paul's moves as a deliberate effort to protect Maduro-linked trafficking routes that pour drugs into the U.S.
Interesting. Why would Rand Paul do that? Oh, man, so much information coming out. As a matter of fact, here's Maduro early on telling us where all the money was going.
El 85%
85%
de los miles de millones
of the billions from international drug trafficking each year
están en los bancos
is in
de
the
Estados
banks
Unidos.
in the United
Ahí
States.
está el cartel.
That's where the
Investiguen y
cartel
lo
is. Let them investigate and uncover it. Money
Lavado de
laundering.
dinero. Mira, yo estaba
Look,
viendo-
I was reviewing the data the
estaba
vice
viendo los
president
datos que dio
shared,
la vicepresidenta. Y
and I
creo que
believe
son
it's
más
over
de 500
$500 billion
millones de dólares
annually.
anuales que están en
That's
la
in the
banca de
U.S.
Estados
banking
Unidos, en
system
los bancos legales.
in legal banks.
Si ellos
If
quisieran
they want to
investigar un
investigate a cartel, let them
investiguen el
investigate the
cartel del
cartel up
norte.
north,
Porque allá es que desde
because it's from
Estados
the
Unidos
United
que se
States
dirige
that all
todo
drug
el
trafficking is
narcotráfico
directed.
de
From South
Sudamérica
America
y del mundo.
and from the rest
También
of the
dirige el
world.
narcotráfico
They also control the
del
opium
opio,
trade and so on.
etcétera, etcétera. Es en los Estados Unidos que están las
It's in the
mafias,
United States
que
where the
están los
mafias
verdaderos
are, where the
carteles.
real cartels are. Well, that's his point of view. I just want to tell you how this whole game has been playing out. So when it comes to the money and the exposure and so much more, we're talking about irregular warfare. Julie Donuts posted this video, sent it to me. The real battle is against the oligarchy, which is the city of London, the globalist bankers. Venezuela isn't just about drugs or even elections. Think offshore accounts. President Trump just declared war on the financial backbone of the British Empire. It's a financial war.
Real issue, which is the fact that we are fighting not regular warfare, but irregular warfare. For decades, the British Empire and globalist banks have waged war on us using non-state actors, NGOs, terrorists, cartels, all of which are protected by their rules-based international order. A couple of my friends discussed this when they summed up their discussion on Venezuela. Here's what Crypto Rich and Tom Luongo said.
So here's Trump coming along, breaking the rules, which he has to do in order to defeat the international banking cartel, which is spawned out of the city of London.
Well, you can't play by their rules when their rules-based order is all based on
It favors them.
and it favors them. They set the game board up. If you want to beat somebody, you can't play the game by their rules. It's basic Sun Tzu. Never, never fight on ground prepared by your enemy.
Tom's right. You can't defend your nation if you play by their rules. And the new national security strategy, which Rubio brought up in the above interview, says so. Just a reminder, here's what the national security strategy says about the elite's rules. They lashed American policy to a network of international institutions, some of which were driven by outright anti-Americanism and many by a transnationalism that explicitly seeks to dissolve individual state sovereignty. So, on behalf of all sovereign nations, Trump has taken the fight directly to those institutions, both the so-called legitimate ones like USAID, the NGOs, the nonprofits, the universities, and the illegitimate side, the cartels, the criminal empires, and their financiers. We're no longer playing by the rules of the rules-based order. And don't forget, it was Canada's Mark Carney who said that just a few months ago. The old world of steady expansion of rules-based liberalized trade and investment, that world is gone. This is what this administration is taking on in their whole of government approach. No, it isn't regime change. It's the recognition that this is irregular warfare. And for the first time in the entire post-war period, the United States is actually fighting back. So here's the bottom line. While the talking heads and influencers are screaming about regime change and splitting MAGA, Donald Trump just declared war on the financial backbone of the British Empire. He's targeting the offshore banking system that has funded terrorism, cartels, and the destruction of sovereign nations for over 50 years. And he's just targeted Canada for good measure. The most ironic part? The enemy understands what Trump is doing better than many of his supposed allies. Sir John Sawers and John Bolton see it. And one of the other superpowers, Russia, has been warning about this for decades. But too many in the MAGA movement are stuck arguing about whether this is another neocon regime change, instead of recognizing that Trump has just launched the biggest offensive against the City of London since maybe the American Revolution. This is why we exist. Prometheus.
Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At ltpetclub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. And guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
Have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, we've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to ltpetclub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today.
Since 1998.
Thanks to President Trump and the military of the United States of America, because thanks to them and to the power of them, we are free.
Over the years, hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans fled to Florida and created a strong community here in Doral. This weekend, the atmosphere was emotional. Venezuelans cheered, danced, some cried, others prayed, marking what they say is the start of a new chapter. On Sunday, a rally was held. The community called it Venezuela está pasando, which means Venezuela, it's happening now. People described the celebration as historic, saying it felt like a rare moment of unity after years of political instability. And there was not an empty seat inside Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic Church in Doral as hundreds of parishioners united in prayer over the future of Venezuela. Amid the celebration, many FaceTimed and spoke with families still in Venezuela who say they are uncertain about what comes next. And John, another thing people told us is a possibility of safely returning to Venezuela once again after seeing family members for not years, but decades.
Yep, there's going to be thousands, probably millions that are going to be returning back. So a lot of folks said, isn't that amazing that we free a country? And now those people are going to go home and start making their country great. You know, there was an opportunity for all this to play out a long time ago. I needed this reminder. I forgot about this. But, it was about a year ago. Right before leaving office, Biden admin suddenly got tough, called Maduro illegitimate. They turned up the bounty on his head, right? Millions of dollars. Then Trump actually goes in and arrests him. Now Democrats are protesting the arrest. Yeah, that's how stupid they are.
Quickly turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions totaling nearly 2,000 individuals. We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolas Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards program.
Just hand out rewards. Wanted. $25 million. Didn't work. President Trump goes in, does his job, and of course the left, they just complain. You know, Anna Paulina Luna put this out, based Rubio, I don't care what the UN says. Remember, she showed that earlier. She posted this on 5 January 2026. Well, 5 January 2019. Why for decades has the UN encouraged donor countries to contribute 0.7% of their gross domestic product on foreign aid? This is on the cue board, folks. The corruption infiltration at the top worldwide is spread like cancer. Listen again carefully. The Great Awakening. Grasshopper caught this one. 7-year delta. It's almost perfect, as if she knows what's going on.
When the time comes to stick a bayonet in our adversary's chest, I'm going to depend upon you to do it.
This is a Marine Corps social media post.
Because we've been doing it for 250 years, and we're going to keep doing it for another X thousand years.
And that was their Happy New Year, Marines. And that's interesting because Kimberly Auer caught this one. Said, well, this timestamp estimated at 9:52 or 21:52. 9:52, if you look on the cue board, you'll see this. Throw us a bone, Q. We've all been waiting for what seemed like an eternity. What's going on? It had to be done this way, was the reply. Also, 9:52, you'll see Proverbs 13:9, the light of the righteous shines brightly, but the lamp of the wicked is extinguished. In that 25-second video, if you go to 25 on the board, says this all has meaning, everything stated, big picture stuff. Few positions allow for this direct knowledge. Proof to begin 11.3. Is that yesterday? Is that the day before yesterday? We all sincerely appreciate the work you do. Keep up the good fight. The flow of information is vital. God bless. Very interesting, huh? Got a couple others that are pretty good. August the 17th. Look at this, Anons. General, remember, gave us the numbers, Raisin Cane. Gave us the numbers. Election fraud will be revealed. So if you look at the numbers, he talked about 1:01 a.m., the start, and the end at 3:29 a.m. Folks, when they give this information out, pay close attention, because a lot of this is really coming together as if it's a production to wake everyone up. In that post on 1:01 and 3:29, we're given the following information. Election fraud will be revealed. Time to show the world. Okay? Maduro, folks, what went on with the Dominion voting systems in Venezuela? U.S. military went in and they got them. Now. So we're told here, Q&A, 5 minutes. You look at this, it says, will election fraud be revealed soon? Yes, midterms are safe. Midterms are coming up. We got Runbeck and Dominion on there. Serbia, Venezuela, UK, controlling all of the elections through Dominion and Runbeck. That's right. Time to show the world. And I tell you what, whew, be an amazing midterms when we see the Democrats finally falling apart. I'm not going to be able to go much further. Remember that red folder? Well, the red folder is moving. The moment has arrived when the red folder opens. The final sequence begins. No reversal, no return. Prepare. I think this is from Whiplash, where I got it from. December 12th is a trigger point, not a date, a signal. EAS and EBS, these emergency systems, are already under military control. Project Odin and Starlink are in position. The civil grid is a shell. The real network is armed. 10 nations are locked into the global broadcast frame. When the switch flips, all screens merge into one feed. The transmission will expose everything: government corruption, banking fraud, military crimes. No filter, no delay. The red folder is not a threat. It is the countdown. Stay alert. The next signal won't wait. Now, I saw this here. You know, Maduro went in there and pled not guilty, right, to all the crimes that they have on him. But, of course, in court. But Tim Burchett took on the Maduro situation.
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett. Just thinking about the Maduro arrest and his indictment and him facing future justice. It's kind of ironic how Joe Biden, in March of 25, him and Kamala Harris put a $15 million bounty out on his head. And then in January 25th, January of 25, he put $25 million on his way out. Trump pops one on him in August of this past year, $50 million. And then then he goes and takes him down. And the left is all clenching at their pearls and hollering how awful it is, can't believe. And Biden put the bounty out on him first. Although he didn't do anything, didn't have the guts to do it, him or Harris, a couple of paper tigers, but Trump went and took him out. It's just completely disingenuous and ironic. And of course, the lapdogs in the media are just soaking this up and putting it out there about how horrible it was. Well, where the hell were they when Biden put his bounty out on them? What does that mean? 2 different times. He upped it from 15 to 25 million. It's bogus. Trump did the right thing. This guy's a narco-terrorist, pumping drugs into our communities, killed more people than the Vietnam War. I'm glad they took him out. I'm hopeful and grateful that our government and our justice system will take the full wrath against him if and when he is found guilty.
So amazing because talking about the media, right? The media, lapdogs in the media. Well, it's interesting because old Whoopi tried to say that, it's no big deal. Why do they have to make a big deal of Maduro? It's not, that big. Well, I couldn't believe it. But Ana Navarro, she probably forgot to go back and do their seances in the back with their pentagram on the ground. Who knows? Because I call this the witch's coven, the view. Well, she's going to look Whoopi in the eyes and give her a little beat down.
Your question, who voted for this? The people in South Florida. The Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years. When we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of accountability, it brought me into tears. It brought me great joy. And, I live in South Florida.
But are you okay with the way that it was done?
But you can, I think both things can be true. Okay. I think you can criticize and ask questions and have concerns about the way it was done and what this means in the future.
Right.
And I think you can still celebrate that this murderous, corrupt, sadistic is out of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because he has... I think there's 8 million Venezuelan exiles all over the world. People have fled from this man's tyrannical rule. So for me...
She even got hot and heavy and threw in a curse word for good measure. Yeah. They said, well, do you agree with the way it was handled? I mean, my goodness, they hurt their feelings and grabbed him at 2 a.m. Couldn't they have just made an announcement and drove up and said, could you please get in the car, sir? We'd like to take you to America. We'll give you a little free trip. Couldn't they have just been nice to him, to this dictator who killed people? I just think that the way they did it was wrong. And Ana Navarro did something that I never thought we'd ever see. She cussed. How dare you? Oh, wow. Who would have ever thought that would happen? That's another answer to prayer. We hope they wake up. Never know. Maybe the View will finally have all those demons removed from that stage. That is, the demons behind the scenes, and let these humans go who made deals with the devil, especially that one. We'll see. But there's so much more going on. I wanted to show you exactly how they did the extraction process. I think this is very, very interesting. And we're going to get into more on how they... President Trump's been really going hard on the Dominion voting systems and more. I thought you guys would find this very, very interesting if you're watching your screen. Very, very well put together.
How do you capture a high-value target when the whole world is watching? You create a masterclass in deception. The CIA set the stage with a single building as bait and filled the sky with 150 aircraft to create a deafening sonic shield for the helicopters to drop Delta forces. F-35s lit up the perimeter, turning night into day. By the time the dust settled, the helicopters had already touched down and Maduro was gone. We'll also look at how the US uses the F-35 jets in its Navy to launch a large-scale attack, all in the video ahead. In the dead of night that is 2 in the morning, the lights went out in Caracas. By 5 a.m., the president of Venezuela was gone. But how US played in deception games. While the whole world were focused on the aircraft carriers in the Caribbean, a shadow war was being fought on the ground. This wasn't an invasion, it was a surgical extraction. We finally have the declassified timeline of how US forces breached the heart of Caracas and extracted Nicolas Maduro. Let's start with step 1. The setup. This didn't happen overnight. For months, the U.S. had been tightening a naval quarantine around Venezuela. The U.S. Gerald R-4 carrier strike group and the U.S. Iwo Jima amphibious ready group were parked off the coast. The pretext was clear. The U.S. designated the Venezuelan government a narco-terrorist state, specifically targeting the drugs lords, but while the Navy squeezed the coast, intelligence assets were tracking one man. They waited for a specific window, a moment where Maduro was stationary and vulnerable. Step 2, the strike. It began at exactly 2 a.m. Venezuelan Standard Time. High above, several F-35 stealth fighters punch a hole through the enemy lines, destabilizing their anti-air defenses. Like these Russian S-300 missiles located all over the strategic high-value target. With the skies clear, the path opens for Delta Force helicopters to fly straight towards the mission. Here comes the deception as the helicopters flew. The jets started firing with more strikes as it hit Fort Tuna, the main military base and command center, and La Carlota Air Base, destabilizing Venezuelan air support. Reports from the ground describe widespread explosions and a sudden communications blackout. The chaos wasn't the goal, it was the cover. But how did the raid happen? We have to look at step 3. Under the cover of darkness and chaos, the Tier 1 operators went to work. But what is the exact unit tasked with the mission? It is the Delta Force, one of the most elite secretive special forces units in the U.S. military.
Hooyah!
Witnesses in Caracas reported low-flying aircraft skimming the rooftops, flying well below radar coverage. The team breached a secure compound believed to be a safe house within the massive Fort Tuna complex. Resistance from the Venezuelan Presidential Guard was swift but ultimately futile, as the helicopters lay cover fire. The operators moved with surgical speed, landing on multiple points. But how exactly the capture and extraction happened? For this, let's look at step 4. Specialized helicopters hovered over the objective to insert the assault team. While dozens of attack helicopters laid down suppression fire, the Delta Special Forces descended and started the search for the high-value targets. How did they find him? Simple. The CIA had planted spy inside Nicolás Maduro close circle. While back in the US, Delta Force built an exact replica of his safe house, rehearsing the raid until they could do it blindfolded. While operators breached the room so fast, his security could not even react to the situation as the sound of flash grenades disoriented the security guard. Using blowtorch, they caught him before he could even lock all the doors. Maduro's shock and awe froze him as Delta Force reached the compound. Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were physically secured. This wasn't a negotiation. They were detained and immediately moved to the extraction point. These aircraft are capable of performing urban extractions from buildings and refueling in midair. Within minutes, they were airborne, leaving Venezuelan airspace and heading to a secure floating staging base in the Caribbean. This Operation Southern Spear has changed the geopolitical map of South America overnight. But wait, before after the extractions, there were reports of F-35 jets also leading the tip of the spear for the attack. We'll look how the United States used F-35 jets instead of F-16s for operations in Venezuela, because this is a well-organized and militarized Venezuela has positioned advanced Russian S-300 missile systems, Chinese radar networks, integrated Russian air defenses, and Shahed drones along its borders. This creates a highly lethal and challenging environment that older S-16s would struggle to survive. As stated, around 150 aircrafts and a massive 8 U.S. destroyers were stationed there. It also has 3 amphibious aircraft carrier and surveillance plane to turn it into a massive command and control juggernaut capable of overcoming a modern military's air defenses. Signals a readiness to counter Venezuela's entire air defense network if necessary. But why Venezuela Air Force failed to intercept? As of 2025, Venezuela's fighter jet fleet consists mainly of approximately 21 Sukhoi Su-30 multirole fighters delivered by Russia between 2006 and 2008, which now form the backbone of their combat air power. Additionally, they maintain about 5 operational S-16 Fighting Falcons from an older batch, including 3 single-seat S-16As and 2 two-seat S-16Ds. These S-16s are aging and suffer from limited maintenance and part support due to U.S. sanctions, although
you know what's happening in this country. Big corporations and the deep state are swallowing up family farms and ranches. We're talking 15 to 30,000 gone every year, folks. In just the last 5 years, 20.1 million acres of farmland erased. families who've been raising your food for generations are being pushed off their land, and the ones who survive, well, they're hidden behind big corporate brands never recognized. That's why I want to introduce you to Tri-Tails Beef. They're a fifth-generation Texas family ranch, and they raise cattle the right way. Pasture-raised, grain-finished for flavor and tenderness, and never touched with mRNA shots. And here's something I love. They even source from other ranchers who meet their same high standards. It's all the same care, genetics, and integrity. Their beef is the real deal. High-end Black Angus genetics, aged to perfection, shipped straight from the ranch to your door. This isn't just about a steak. It's about taking a stand for American ranching, real food, and the families who make both possible. So if you want to fight back, if you want to keep your dinner table connected to real American hands, go to trybeef.com/AWK and support Tri-Tails today in the description box below. So while everything's been playing out, the Democrat Party has collapsed. Teamsters Union, who is historically pro-Democrat, will start donating to Republicans for the upcoming 2026 midterms elections. Yeah, Democrat Party. Oh, they're in so much trouble. They also have this. Another Democrat lawmaker has just been indicted for fraud. Georgia State Rep. Karen Bennett, a strong proponent of Black Lives Matter, is accused of scamming COVID relief funds. The Democrat Party is slowly becoming the party of crime. Real Life Patriot got a repost from President Trump. He's proud. He's excited, and that's good. He's going to be with us on the cruise, by the way, if you guys want to meet him. Nevada is also corrupt. Jesse Benally's testimony at this U.S. Senate hearing in 2020 was completely ignored in Nevada, just like every other swing state. They knowingly certified a fraudulent election in each of these states. January 6, 2021 was the cover-up for the real insurrection on November 3rd, 2020. President Trump made sure that that got out to the public. He also, President Trump, wanted this video out.
To vote? Well, it depends upon what state you're in, if it's a photo ID or not, if you have an affidavit. You know, Maria, for years, I've covered and investigated voter and election fraud cases here at Fox News, and you won't believe what we found. Take a look at this. These are absentee ballots that were faked. Prosecutors in Troy, New York, said politicians simply stole elections by handing in fraudulent ballots that they filled out as real votes. The unsuspecting voters we talked to said they did not even know their votes were robbed. So you didn't write that?
I did not.
You didn't cast a ballot?
I did not.
Did you vote?
No.
Did you fill out an absentee ballot?
Nope.
Did you fill out an absentee ballot application?
Nope, I didn't fill out any of those.
So your vote was a fraud?
It was.
In Kentucky, prosecutors said 20 public officials stole elections by buying votes, spending $400,000 to buy 8,000 votes over several elections. You sold your vote? Mm-hmm. How much did you sell your vote for?
$25.
Well, in Cincinnati, veteran poll worker Mallory Richardson was charged with voting in the 2008 and 2012 presidential election not once, but 2 and 3 times. She pled no contest to 4 counts, including voting for her sister, who had been in a coma for a decade. In Pennsylvania, 7 election officials have been hit with election fraud charges, deaths in the last year and a half, from cases of illegal voting to tampering with voting machines and adding phony votes.
So this is why Democrats fight tooth and nail against national voter ID laws, says Robert. 20 public officials stole elections by buying votes, spending $400,000 to purchase 8,000 votes over several elections. Barack Obama qualified for the primary with 534 signatures. The prosecutor discovered 3 years later that 100 to 200 of those signatures were forged. Barack Obama was never qualified for the primary in Indiana, meaning Barack Obama was no president. Barack Obama's no president, much less a former president. Oh, man. Also, Dominion was brought up by a Republican company, was bought by a Republican company. Remember that? Maduro was captured. He's sharing evidence with federal prosecutors. President Trump is posting videos about Dominion election rigging and says 2020 election fraud will be exposed in 2026. The dominoes are being lined up. And President Trump posted this.
I found that there were about 25,000 ballots that were not printed from the official Dominion PDF ballot. In other words, the printing process, appearance is completely different than what you would get from a first-generation PDF printing.
We had approximately 25,000 ballots that were not created from the PDF that is used for the election process. So in other words, the election provider comes up with ballots, and it's specific to a geographical area, because the person that lives in this neighborhood might not be voting for the same people that live in that neighborhood or another neighborhood. So here in Maricopa County, from memory, you had 5,012 or something like that, just over 5,000 different permutations and combinations to the ballots. Then that's multiplied by 2 because there's a Spanish version that's available for each one of these ballots. But it's the same ballot with the same people, just in a different language. So we've got we'll just say 5,000 different ballots for now that are created ahead of time, and those are created in PDF. Now, the big reason why is that you have a third party send out mail-in ballots, so those have to be created in advance. And second, for your early voting, you have vote on demand. So in other words, even if I live way out in the corner of the county, but I work downtown, I could go to something downtown that could print my ballot from my area, and I could vote here. It's convenient. A lot of people do that. So these PDFs are created in advance. They're obviously good quality PDFs, and when they're printed, they should look roughly or exactly the same. In this group of ballots, I find that the quality is severely degraded from what a PDF would be as if printed on demand, or if printed by your third-party provider who prints these all the time.
I'm Eric Spakeen. I'm a forensic chemist and a forensic document analyst. That means I deal with all aspects of question documents, when they were made, if they've been altered, changed, or added to, and how long ink has been on paper. I was asked if I had experience in election matters to look at primarily printing processes, machine copied marks, CPS code, which is a counterfeit protection system. And I said that I did, and I traveled to Arizona with 3 other people from my office that I had. Number one is that there were a series of ballots that I examined the photographs of, and Dominion, as the election subcontractor, produced ballots for each of the zones or districts that were involved, at least in the area that I looked at here in Maricopa County. And there were 5,000 approximately, a little over, different ballots. As you know, in a state, there could be 2 different senator races. There could be 10 different House races. And all the permutations and combinations is what gives you the 5,000. So they create a final ballot for each one of these districts or zones or regions, so that when you go in and you give your name and it knows you're from this area, you would get this ballot to vote on all the issues that pertain to you, and only the issues that pertain to you. And I found that there were about 25,000 ballots that were not printed from the official Dominion PDF ballot.
Not printed from the PDF ballot. President Trump put that out for all to see. Big wake-up call coming. Here's Chili Donuts.
President Trump went on a posting spree last night on True Social, and the majority of it was talking about election fraud, election 2020 fraud, and of course, all the Somalian fraud, which of course will lead into other states, the massive fraud. He's doing this so the public is aware that 2020 is not over. He's also saying these things because of what is coming. And what is coming are mass arrests of the big players that we're hoping to see. He was on the plane yesterday from Mar-a-Lago talking to the press, and he also talked about the Insurrection Act again. So he's talking about that, and he's saying how he took the National Guard out of certain states, but he said he would bring them back in again when needed. He's trying to tell you the reason they're going to be needed again is because there's going to be massive civil unrest in several, probably 14 to 16 states. Because when these arrests come, there's going to be riots. They're going to attempt to cause a civil war. It will absolutely fail. It'll be civil unrest, which will quickly be quelled by the National Guard. It's going to be a lot of chaos coming. So heads up, stay vigilant, and do not fear and do not give up. President Trump is fighting for us. There's lots of drama coming ahead. Please do not give up on this president. He needs our support. There's so much greatness coming. This is our year, and we are going to take our country back. Fight on, patriots. Let's go.
Let's go. There we go. I'm going to make sure that we get more information out on all of this. And of course, let's look to New York. We haven't talked about them in a while. New York City subway and bus fare hikes took effect today. That's right. Actually, the other day. What happened to the free buses that Mamdani promised and campaigned on? Oh, let's have a reminder.
Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together,
fast and free.
New York, we're going to deliver universal...
Yeah, so anyway, I can't show you on X how many people in New York are upset because just about every other word out of their mouth is a curse word, and I don't want to be bleeping forever. Oh, start spreading the news. I'm longing to stay. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. Let's go over to Seattle now. It's like Sleepless in Seattle movie.
I had the honor of being noticed by the President of the United States.
That's the mayor, Katie Wilson from Seattle. Told police to stop arresting people for public drug use.
Who called me a very, very liberal / communist mayor. It's nice to feel seen. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Proud to be a communist. Laughing about it. A crowd of people who, I don't know, they've kind of lost a few brain cells out there. All of you listen in Seattle, I know you got good folks there. Beautiful place. I actually have my driver's license out of the state of Washington when I was a Marine. Had it moved there. Anyway, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the primary funding vehicle for PBS, has officially been dissolved after President Trump stripped them of funding. Good riddance. Taxpayers will no longer be subsidizing the left-wing propaganda. Also, the Hilton hotels, they got hit. They launched a coordinated campaign in Minneapolis to refuse service to the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement. Per the Department of Homeland Security. That's right, old Hilton.
This afternoon, DHS just posting on social media a short time ago, accusing the Hilton hotel brand of refusing service to ICE agents in the state of Minnesota. This is their X post, essentially saying Hilton is doing a coordinated campaign to stop ICE officers.
Yeah, but look at that. Let's look at that. Reading this over here. Hilton Hotels launched a coordinated campaign in Minneapolis to refuse service to DHS law enforcement. When officers attempted to book rooms using official government emails and rates, Hilton Hotels maliciously canceled their reservations. That was from Department of... This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Why is the Hilton Hotel siding with murderers and rapists to deliberately undermine and impede DHS law enforcement from their mission to enforce our nation's immigration laws? Bunch of criminals. Speaking of criminals, HHS confirms that the Somali UN ambassador was involved in healthcare company convicted of Medicaid fraud. It's not a rumor anymore. It's confirmed. The Department of Health and Human Services verified. Abubakar Tahir Osman, Somali's ambassador to the UN. United Nations. Oh, the United Nations again, huh? Involved in healthcare company convicted of Medicare fraud. His company's NPI appears on the HHS Office of Inspector General exclusion list under code 11288A1. So official. Meaning conviction of program-related crimes with a mandatory minimum 5-year exclusion from Medicare and Medicaid. Wow. Isn't that something? Well, Somalia, man, they're just getting caught in all kinds of trash lately. As a matter of fact, Minnesota's corruption caught up with Tim Walz. Last year, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz celebrated Tesla's stock price dropping. Well, today, Tim Walz announced he's dropping out of the 2026 Minnesota governor's race. President Trump said Minnesota's corrupt governor will possibly leave office before his term is up, but in any event, will not be running again because he was caught red-handed. Along with Ilhan Omar and others of his Somali friends stealing tens of billions of taxpayer dollars, I feel certain the facts will come out and they will reveal a seriously unscrupulous and rich group of slimeballs. Governor Walz has destroyed the state of Minnesota, but others like Governor Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul have done, in my opinion, an even more dishonest and incompetent job. No one is above the law. Slimeballs, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul. And so guess what's going on in Minnesota? Well, they're starting to pull those full investigations in. That's right. And all because there was a YouTuber, says Governor Walz.
We've got conspiracy theorist, right-wing YouTubers.
Conspiracy theorists. Doesn't work anymore, Earl Walz. Right-wing. That must be a terrible, derogatory term. YouTubers.
Breaking into our daycares.
Broke in. I saw a crowbar, and he went in there, and he just pried that door open. He threw in a couple of grenades, blew the place, and said, "Everybody get out now. We want to see all the children. What do you think you're doing in here?" He broke into that place and started screaming and yelling at them and told them to confess now.
Demanding access to our children.
He demanded access. I mean, did you guys see the video? He was like, "You better tell me right now how many children are in here or else."
We've got the President of the United States demonizing our Somali neighbors and wrongfully confiscating funds that Minnesotans rely on.
Wrongfully confiscating billions of dollars, not a few dollars. Not $9 billion, maybe $18 billion. That belongs to our foreigners. All that taxpayer money that all these people are paying up 20, 30% of their hard-working income. That belongs to the Somali people.
It's disgusting and it's dangerous.
Oh, man. Here's Caroline.
Entire government effort. We are surging resources. You saw today the Department of Homeland Security announced we have nearly 2,000 agents from the Homeland Security Investigations Team. The FBI is on the ground, and we're freezing money. HHS cut off funding for child care centers and for daycares. USDA Secretary Rollins has been asking Governor Walz to see the recipients of SNAP in his state. So this is all hands on deck. Rest assured, it's a top priority for President Trump. And he believes that Governor Walz is criminally liable. And I think the Department of Justice is going to find out.
Oh, boy. Minnesota fraud, the White House says. The Department of Justice currently engaged in multiple active, ongoing, and extensive investigations into that fraud. And with those investigations, they're in panic mode. Because guess what? There's a Craigslist ad seeking child actors for daycare in Minneapolis' Hennepin County has been discovered, with the poster requesting 20 children to act as clients while the state observes them to determine whether it is a legitimate daycare. Get that? Hope that's part of their investigation. Oh, you guys hired actors? These aren't the real kids? Oh, there's no children here? Oh, these are Oh, I hope they find out. 90% of small businesses fail, yet the Samara Adult Daycare Center still has their lights on without having a customer at all. This Angela Rose posted this video.
Adult daycare.
People who 220 is finished. Them. Why you take it?
I'm sorry?
Why you take it picture? What?
So it seems like they're up and operating today.
Huh? 230. Crying all. Okay. Right now is gone.
That's good.
Only me 3. Still I'm waiting. Driver.
Oh, for the driver?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I'm waiting driver.
What kind of things do you guys do with the seniors?
Yeah.
Because, like, I have grandparents as well, and I want to know how I can keep them happy and occupied.
Yes, everything.
Yeah. So what kind
in the morning, fast, fruits, everything I'm eating.
Really?
All people. Second is a lunch.
Wow.
Everybody lunch if you.
So Salam Adult Care in Minneapolis says that they have all these wonderful things for folks. Lights are still on and everything. And then you got other folks looking into fraudulent Iranian daycare owner in Los Angeles. $42.18 million grant.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Dollars for this one facility. Where'd you get this car from? How did you get property? Yeah, did you win the law? That's assault. Don't touch me.
He got confronted and he pushed the guy away. And he gets into this, looks like a $500,000 vehicle. He's been caught.
Oh, look, he's handicapped. How did you get...
Can you read English? This is a certificate for daycare center. This is an emblem from California.
That's from the Department of Social Services. That's how you've been getting your grant money for... It
doesn't look like the emblem.
Well, entities across the Bay Area and Southern California. You have
I know what they're doing.
The most money you've...
I know what they're doing.
Karen Bass's government. $4.2 million just to her campaign, electoral campaign alone.
You guys are...
And he gave $4 million to Democrats with that money. And he's driving a Rolls Royce. He's confronted. This guy just goes on and on and on. It's with his confrontation. Where are the kids? Where are the children? Wow, they're exposing all types of these folks. They just flew into the country and they're like, hey, we're going to show you how to get money from the taxpayers. Well, there's 12,000 new ICE Gov officers and agents to start the new year. More arrests, more deportations, more security brought to the homeland. And the U.S. Department of Labor said President Trump's delivering on his promise to right-size our bloated federal government. Since he took office, there are 271,000 fewer federal employees than at the start of 2025. We'll continue our efforts to cut out any and all waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. President Trump talked about this.
From Minnesota and from the United States. It's actually more from the United States because Minnesota puts in, and we're not going to pay it anymore. We're going to have Waltz go pay. We're not going to pay them, and we're not going to pay California, and we're not going to pay Illinois with that big slob of a governor that they have that doesn't want. You know, we brought down crime by 25%. He didn't do anything. He's not doing anything. But they want us to leave. He had a day where they had 17 murders not too long ago. 17 murders and 77 people shot, but 17 died. And then he talks about, oh, we can handle it. He can't handle it. But we pull back, and we'll go in at the appropriate time. But we're
going to go back into these cities in the appropriate time. In the meantime, President Trump is saving us money. He said we've taken in and will soon be receiving more than $600 billion in tariffs, but the fake news media refuses to talk about it because they hate and disrespect our country and want to interfere with the upcoming tariff decision, one of the most important ever of the United States Supreme Court. Because of tariffs, our country is financially and from a national security standpoint far stronger and more respected than ever before. God bless America. Also, if you guys didn't see this, bigger than Venezuela, less than 24 hours after the U.S. military pressure escalated in Venezuela, something far more telling happened. The infrastructure was already in place. The United States quietly locked in a strategic silver smelter deal designed to process up to $1 trillion in Latin American precious metals, including Venezuelan supply. Let that sink in. $8 billion state-of-the-art facility, jointly backed by Wall Street Capital and the U.S. Department of Defense, now sits at the center of the supply chain. It's not about invasion. It's about control, security, and price discovery. Physical metals moving out of unstable regions. Refining brought back under U.S. oversight. Paper markets losing influence. Strategic metals secured for energy, defense, and AI. When governments build first and explain later, it's not speculation, it's preparation. Silver isn't being hyped, it's being positioned. Know what you hold. And folks, you know, silver shot up, I believe, up to now $76, $77, and it's positioned in other places like China at $120 an ounce, Japan $120 an ounce. That means we're going there. So if you haven't jumped in yet, you can go to the link in the description box below, or go to amweknow.com and click on the link to Dr. Kirk Elliott, amweknow.com/gold, to get your IRAs out of fiat dollar into precious metals, folks, especially silver, because there's a strong strong push on social media and from big name folks that silver is going places. And it's just getting started. And it's got at least 9.5 years left to continue to go up. And that's directly from Dr. Kirk. Don't want to miss our interviews every Saturday that we release. In the meantime, you can jump on board. It is absolutely amazing what is playing out for all of us. Another thing amazing is the announcement here.
This just in and breaking moments ago, the CDC has reduced the number of vaccine it recommends for children. Under the new guidelines, it will now recommend children receive 11 vaccines rather than the current list of 17, putting in line with the country of Denmark. The still recommended vaccines include the MMR shot. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, quote, "This decision protects children, respects families, and rebuilds trust in public health." That just in. John?
So you see that picture up there, 11 injection versus 72 injections. So many of you folks out there that listen in know I'm completely against anything made by man to put into our body, but you can't just please the minority. There's a majority out there that they believe in all these things. They've got to take it one step at a time. RFK Jr.'s all over it. Now, RFK Jr., Dan Scavino Jr., put this out. Your Maduro at 0200 on Saturday, January 3rd, 2026. POV. That was posted 217. You got the 217 with the 4 on the end. So 2174. On the Intel board from Grasshopper. Caught this. Okay? Together we are strong. We the people. Where we go on one, we go all. And ICQ people. Look at that. Pretty amazing. And also amazing is a 7-year delta, 7 years to the day between Q and Trump, exactly to the date. Same day, same content. January 5th, 2019, Q posts a link to a 5-minute, 48-second length video called "This Video Will Get Donald Trump Elected." Then January 5th, 2026, 7 years later, Trump posted the same exact video. Are you getting it, folks? Do you understand why we get so excited, we, the Anons and people that follow Q, and try to get this information up? Because we're going around the mainstream media, and they're sharing information with us to keep us informed. Now, I'm not going to play this whole video. You can get it. Watch the whole thing, but I'm going to play some of it now.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interests, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. And this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up.
And we're looking forward to that soon and very soon. This year is very powerful. Jumpstart. It's like we got jumper cables on the car and we're like, rev it up. Let's get this thing going. It's pretty amazing, folks. We had a break. Now we're moving full speed ahead. And just a reminder, together you're strong, we the people. Where we go one, we go all.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, again, we come before your throne in awe of all that you have done in and through so many people, so many flawed people throughout history that has been placed in your love letter to us, the Word of God. Much of it shows how you interject and move on behalf of nations, reaching people, families, communities, and so much more. As they cried out to you in prayer, you heard their prayers, and those are being answered even now. We thank you. We come before your throne making requests known unto you that this continued operation will play out in such a way that will wake up many of the people who are asleep still, who are still in slumber and do not understand what's going on. Would you continue to help us all communicate well? Give us the right words to say to our neighbors, our friends, and more. Not to be filled with anger, to be filled with hope and joy. May we be a bright light in this darkness that's around us. We look forward to many more great things to come each and every day that we wake up. What an exciting time to be alive. Thank you for all that you've done. Please continue to protect those on the front lines, those that are working hard, those that are in uniform, putting together these operations and more. Please protect them. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support, your prayers, and so much more. Let's hope we keep this going each and every day. Excited about the things that are playing out in our nation and many other nations around this earth. For now, it's LT Semper Fi with Them We Know, signing out.
We did not come this far to overcome this much and fight this hard, only to surrender our country back to the depraved Washington swamp.
It's going to be a lot of chaos coming, so heads up, stay vigilant, and do not fear and do not give up. President Trump is fighting for us.
Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president.
The fact that we are fighting not regular warfare, but irregular warfare. For decades, the British Empire and globalist banks have waged war on us using non-state actors.